All right. So my name is Quincy Brandon, and this is the first of what I hope to be a long series of interviews and podcasts from the local community up here in Anna, Texas, as well as down in the McKinney, just pretty much Collin County as a whole, maybe some of Texoma. Today we've got Robb with us. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but just for the audience, I'm an attorney. I practice in Collin County, Grayson County, and Fannin County. So I kind of run up and down the roads all over there, but I do primarily criminal defense and family law. Thought I would kick this in to kind of give a wider scope on the community, all the business leaders that we have and the thought leaders that we have, and give everybody kind of a platform so we could all get to know each other and build our way out of the times that we're in and move forward. So without further ado, Robb, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, certainly. And first of all, Quincy, thank you for doing this. I find it really interesting. I think it's a great use of your time. Hopefully pay off for you. And I think it's a wonderful service for those in the community. And I also want to clarify that I don't know you by, we just met literally, right?
Yes.
So you've never been my criminal defense attorney.
No.
Okay.
Anyone that
At least I don't remember.
Anyone that appears on here, I don't think I've stood with them at the courthouse or anything.
Okay. All right. Well, good.
We met as I just threw out a question on a Facebook forum, and looks like everybody went wild. And Robb, you were the first one to literally. I think you like sent a message like 45 minutes after I posted it. And,
hey, well, I guess I won. And hopefully, like you said, that this is the first of many. But a little bit about me, Robb Farrell. I've been here in Anna for, I want to say 5 years, moved to the West Crossing area, have 6 children. So we relocated from Richardson, didn't want to be house broke, and, loved Anna even back when it was the only place you could buy liquor, when I lived in Allen, and moved out here, and been grateful for it ever since. Love the community. I understand it's growing fast, and I'm sure that creates its own tension, but we've enjoyed watching it. Yeah.
Well, I've been here for 2 years, and the change that has happened in the 2 years,
crazy.
I can remember when McKinney, if you blinked real fast, you missed it going to Dallas.
That's right. When I moved to Allen, what is it now? 11 years ago. It was like farmland, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now it's saturated. But hey, that's the way life goes, I guess.
Oh yeah. So it definitely changed. So what do you do? What do you do now, man? What's your business?
So right now we rent kayaks, or rather, we rent kayaks at experiences worth having. And so what I mean by that is I'm originally from Maine. I joined the military, the Coast Guard, which moved me to California. And I've been here in Texas for about 11 years. And being from Maine, I've always grown up on the water, obviously being in the Coast Guard, literally on the water, near the water. And moving to Texas was a big challenge for me, man, right? Because I miss those, clear rivers, at least North Texas, and I couldn't find them, and or just really nice, water experiences. And for me, experiences on the water are just phenomenal. There's something about it. I can't really articulate what it is. But everybody that gets off floating on a kayak always has a smile on their face, and there's a significant change in their countenance, who they are, and just how they're interacting. And so water is important for me, and I just couldn't find the kind of water that I was accustomed to, the kind that if you fell in, are not afraid to touch bottom because you can actually see it, or, if you're really thirsty and you had to do it, you probably survive it, sort of water. And, I found some, but the challenge was access. In fact, I was infuriated. And what I'm speaking to right now is we have 4 total experiences that we feature at the moment. And those are 3 different locations. One is featured right here in the hometown in Anna, and maybe I'll come back to that because that's sort of the purpose of this podcast.
Mhm.
The other one is at Hagerman National Wildlife Refuge. We do a 4-mile sort of round trip down Big Mineral Creek there. And that's
Okay.
just a beautiful section, but it's, a lot of people don't know about it. It is accessible. But the one that really, really hit home for me was the Red River on the dams, the Denison Dam side of the Red River. So I guess that'd be east. It is clear, cold, clean, and it's like that for miles. And we feature a 12.5-mile trip, a 20-mile trip, a 33-mile trip, and even an overnight trip. But that water, I mean, my kids swim in it. It's got nice low points with islands. And my family and I went out on Father's Day. So my 4-year-old, which, don't normally recommend it for children under 5, but I think my experience just, I made a call. But my entire family, so my 4-year-old, my 16-year-old, my 18-year-old son, and my wife, we did a 12.5-mile down the Red River, starting in Denison. And it was gorgeous. It was, just beautiful experience. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of many of these. Even in Anna, in our hometown, when I talk about the nature float that we feature here, people don't know about Lakeview Lake, which was, I think, formerly Soil Conservation Site 46, or, who cares?
Something like that.
Yeah, right. Not very attractive, but I didn't know about it till last year, till 2020. And I know we're going to talk about 2020 in a bit, but I really didn't. I was jogging and I thought for a moment that maybe, I jumped into a time portal, and I really didn't know where I was. Like, I didn't understand how this lake, and it's not a pond by any means, because the first thing I did when I saw it was grab my kayak and go around the entire shoreline. It was over 2 miles. So yeah, pretty significant. So anyway, that's what we do now. And there's a reason for why I'm here. It's not, I don't have a history with, renting kayaks, right? So it's not my background, but I do know the impact of it, and I hope to share it with others.
Okay. And so, what made you decide to do kayaks? Like tell us your story, because I know we've talked a little bit about
Yep.
like where you come from and how you got to this point. Tell us that, man. How did you start out on this journey, and where you at now?
Yeah. So 2020. So there's a figure of speech, that hindsight is 2020, and it wasn't figurative anymore. It's not figurative anymore. 2020, that year, looking back at it and the experience, at least that I had, I thought 2020 was a valuable teacher. Right. And what it taught me primarily is that I need to be responsible for my own experience, because there are plenty that would like to take that responsibility for me. And I think, for my family, for myself, the things that I prioritized, being, a VP in corporate America, I left my job in June this year. I've been in corporate America for 15 years. Prior to that, I was a consultant. But 2020 just taught me lessons that I couldn't ignore. And one of the other lessons, other than, being responsible for my own experience, which is something that I believe kayaking is sort of the poster child for. I also, realized that, life's a daring adventure, right? And, a lot of people seek security, and a lot of people, including myself, settle for sort of a level of okay that we can tolerate, and we pretend that we're happy. But at the end of the day, it's not money, it's not fame, it's not any of that. Happiness is truly the return on investment that I'm living for. And it's what I tell my children, and I wasn't living it. So I made this decision. And for me, kayaking in 2020 was, not literally, but a lifesaver. Like, it was, when I started kayaking and getting on the water again, I was left with my own thoughts and charged with my own experience. It's much different than if you go to like a resort or an amusement park where, they're just sort of milling through these experiences that they're responsible for, but you're just sort of not really participating in, you're just witnessing. right? But when you're kayaking, you're totally in charge of your experience, and there's just something about that. So 2020 taught me some lessons, and I'm moving forward on the lessons taught. And I have very little care about any risk involved. I got to feed my family. Where they're accustomed to living a certain way. But again, happiness is a return on investment, and I can't imagine living another way.
No, I understand. I understand that. And that, I think somebody told me last year that 2020 was like a mirror,
Yes. And too many, I didn't like what I saw.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly didn't like what I saw. That's why I made a few changes to certain things I was doing in my life. And it's kind of, to be honest with you, it's kind of what spurred me on to do this. I'm like, well, we gotta change ourselves. And I was like, what's a good way to kind of start getting out? And because literally when we came back to Anna, we were up here, I don't know, for like 10 months. And then, the inevitable hit with 2020. And you couldn't really get out and meet people. You didn't even know if going to the sidewalk to check your mail was going to be safe if somebody was out there coughing or something.
Right.
It's just that's just the kind of world that started developing. And then, from there, everything, you realize, oh, life, you just got to relax and life's going to be okay. And we moved on through it. And then starting this year, I was like, well, I've got to do something. So I've made moves myself. And then I always listen to podcasts, and what's his name? Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan Experience, North Kayak Experience. There is actually a connection. I'm a big fan.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
No, and I was listening to one of his podcasts.
Not your fan. I did this for the show. That's what do you think? Joe Rogan-esque or no?
Joe Rogan-esque.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. No, definitely. I can see the resemblance. So, but no, which I'm not gonna lie, that sometimes that kind of it weirds, because I remember Joe Rogan when he was young, when he first started.
Oh yeah.
He had a full head of hair.
Yep.
He was skinny, scrawny, and didn't look a thing like he does now.
No. And he's I think 10 years my senior, man. That guy's like in his mid-50s.
Yeah, he's I think he's like 56 or something like that. And he just completely changed who he was. But anyway, back on track, and watch me, because I'll get on tangents.
Same thing, man. Same thing.
I'm bad about that.
That's you can use the edit for that, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought about I was like, I could do something like that. And they when I say they, my family, they're like, just do a podcast. Like, okay. And so I'm glad the response that we got from the community. I didn't think that I thought it would just kind of like fly over the radar and nobody would respond, but people chiming in and wanting to do it. So
I think local businesses, I think we struggle with how do we interact with our community I know this is what I struggle with. How do I interact with my community in a very genuine way, right? Like, do I want to float people? 100% yes. Why? Because I think you'll enjoy the experience 100%. And I think you'll come back or want to do it again. But I'm not, I don't want people to necessarily associate me with, hey, that guy's gonna try to get you to rent a kayak, because I'm not, but I do want to tell you about it, right? So I think we all struggle with that, and I think this is a very genuine way just to have a conversation, free flow, to sort of expose who we are, what we're up to, why we're here, and let people get to know us.
Well, and that kind of segues me into what I wanted to talk about next with you. What's something from your business that was unexpected, something that you didn't expect to happen once you started doing it?
So I'm a fanatic learner, and not inherently, like, I don't love learning. There are people out there that love learning. That's not me. But what I don't necessarily like the process of learning, but I'm a learning fanatic because I've realized in my own life, I'm not formally educated, right? But positions that I've had in corporate America have always been ones that are usually associated with, a degree of, education.
Yeah.
And it's only because I realized that you can learn something really quick. In fact, you can become an expert in something in a very short period of time if you're committed and you identify the resource and you keep yourself open. You can. So for me, I'm putting up a website. Like, have I played with it before? Sure. But I think our website is fantastic. There's a few kinks that we're working out. And also understanding social media marketing. And that's where I wanted to start. In fact, I was a VP for an organization, the one that, I left this past June. And, they were a marketing firm. And so for me, it was entirely new, a little bit daunting. But, as it with everything, instead of telling myself all the limitations and the restrictions of the learning process, remembering the times where I have felt that feeling before, and 2 weeks later, that feeling was no longer a monster. In fact, I knew more than most now, right? And then a year later, I can consider myself an expert. And so I think everybody's capable of that. And, I'm 44 years old. And I didn't really take that learning fanatic on, like I'm committed to it until, I was about 40. So a late lesson, but it's one that's been tried and true for sure.
No, and to be honest with you, like that's probably one of the biggest things when I talk to people, I hear them talk about how they, like for instance, you said you were 40 when that lesson kicked in hardcore. I know somebody that's 52 and they dedicated themselves to their business, and now they're 55 and they're flourishing,
Yeah.
And what it is it's like age is literally just not a thing to worry about. You look at Jeff Bezos was 32 when he started Amazon. He wasn't some whiz kid 18 over there in Palo Alto making his own website. Colonel Sanders I think he was like 54.
He was up there. Yeah.
And he had done all kinds of stuff. He had been a lawyer and he got disbarred for fighting his client in the courtroom. All kinds of stuff had happened to him. But when
Have you ever done that, Quincy?
No,
not yet.
No, okay. Not yet. No, I haven't had that happen. I've seen it happen. I've seen people. The funniest thing I ever saw was the guy that showed up to court and he had a warrant out for his arrest. They handcuffed him and they cuffed his ankles. They put him because they put you in the jury box when you do that.
Right.
They don't have time to process you because court's going on. And so they put him in the jury box and court got really busy. And I was sitting in line to talk to the coordinator, and you look over and this guy decided he's going to make a break for it. So he's like running, he's like shuffling his little feet.
Oh,
he made it to the elevator. They caught him at the elevator.
That's fantastic. He made it. Well, good for him. He made it to the elevator. I didn't know. Was he going to take the stairs?
Well, I wouldn't have taken the stairs. We were 5 floors up. That would have been a hard.
Yeah, right.
But he made it to the elevator, and I don't know what he thought he was going to do, but that was funny to watch. That's a few years ago.
But Quincy, back to that point, because I think it's a solid one. Like another thing that I've learned, and it's just through. And I say 40, so it's not like I was a late learner, because I think people that are thinking, hey, I kind of want to shift what I'm doing. I want to be in charge with this experience of life. And I want happiness to be my ROI. And I want to determine how I'm going to be to make that happen. Right. And it's like your experience when you get older, it's like, you're no different. Here's the deal. I'm no different from my 18-year-old son. When he expresses himself, when he thinks his things that he's passionate about, I feel in a large sense that same way. But I got all of this experience, man. Like I've seen a lot in my life. And one of the things that I've had, the privilege, I don't know, if I'm being honest, I don't know if I'd always call it a privilege, but, to be in front of, executives, CEOs, and understanding that they're not much different from me. There's no there's really not much distinction other than, they're committed to something and they're doing whatever. And I always used to, create distinction between myself and other people. Like that person's doing that because, oh, they're hardwired that way, or, they're an entrepreneur or whatever. And it's just a bunch of BS, right? Like, and I also know that CEOs and entrepreneurs are some of the most, they don't always have, strong confidence, right? Like, right. We just don't, but, at the end of the day,
you gotta fake it to a certain extent. You gotta pump yourself up. They say fake it till you make it. And you're not faking it the whole time, but you've got to get in there and give yourself that pep. Like you just said, like everyone puts their pants on one leg at a time.
That's right. Well, I've tried the another way, and
that doesn't work. That's your knees or your butt hitting the floor real hard.
That's right.
So, but no, and that's just what you got to remember. You got to remember everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time, and you've got to puff yourself up sometimes a little bit more than them.
Yeah.
So when you go in the room, they back off.
Yeah.
And that way you can give yourself that breathing room that you need.
Absolutely.
And that, like in your business right now, so you run this kayak company and you're based out of here in Anna.
Yep.
When you came up here, was there anyone else doing that, or is that just
no? So I since I've been wanting to do this for a while, just as another stream of income. It's more of a passion point than a profit, right? I just because I love it, and I just think when people do it, they have a unique experience. And a couple things happened. I was actually on my way to float the Red River, and there was a kayak rental company up there that I actually used a couple times. I think they were Red River float trips. You'd rent a kayak and you could float on their property and for however long. And I called and I told them, hey, I'm coming up. And I was halfway there and they said, oh, we actually shut down. And I'm like, oh. And then another one that's actually in downtown Dallas, it's more of an urban adventure, right? It's Trinity Kayak.
Okay.
Yeah. And a really great place. But they weren't going to be open till mid-July. And and I'd already been thinking about this. And I thought to myself, what more do I need? Not that I necessarily see them, as competition, because we do something entirely different and we go places that they just don't, and they have their own thing. We have our own thing. But I just thought, like, universe, somebody, whatever is telling me something, like now is the time. And I just remembered how rewarding of an experience it was for me in 2020. And I wanted to bring it to people in 2021. And I had the opportunity. And when deciding that I wanted to leave my job, and instead of filling out a bunch of applications and find another one, I said, I'm going to take this summer and see what we can do.
All right. And so how's it been going? How many groups have you wound up floating so far this year?
I probably should have counted that. So what I'll do is I'll err on the side of making the mistake conservatively, and somewhere around 20, 25. But some of them have been groups, right? And we have some. I probably have a dozen or more booked for August. Our calendar is evolving very slowly. We have, limited inventory because of quite honestly, the price of our inventory. The kayaks that I use are built in Maine. I'm a little biased, obviously, but they're the best. They're unsinkable. People aren't going to flip on them. They're stable. They glide well. So yeah, I forgot the damn question.
I was asking you how is business going? Like
that's right. Right. It's going good because I start thinking about those Old Town kayaks, and I know I'm a geek, but I start going to a dreamy place. We got about 15 or so booked for August. Calendar's building slow, but as we build it, people will book. So I'm really excited, and I think the best thing for us, our only marketing has been primarily Facebook. It's just getting to meet people, and I love getting on there and having a conversation, and it always turns out to a good outcome. So it's been a rewarding experience. Yeah.
No, I understand. That's, to be honest with you, Facebook and Instagram, that's really all I do for like online marketing.
Do you?
I used to do AdWords and stuff like that, but
I need help. And that's another thing. So that's another thing I'm going to have to engage my learning fanatic sort of mind into is, if you go into the Googles and you put North Texas Kayak Experience, I don't even think our link shows up. Like, so that's, when you ask, that's something that I have to look at and pay attention to. And it's that balance between engaging with customers that you hope to float and, taking care of business, and making sure you're searchable on the internet.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, like probably, I would imagine that you would probably have like an easier time with this, but part of the thing is you want to tell a narrative to people, like you want to tell them what your business is, what kind of experience they can have. And that's been like one of the biggest issues I have. It's like, well, are you in trouble? I can help you. I mean, that's pretty much it. But I mean, I imagine for you, like you could probably like make videos and show people how fun it is. And
yeah,
I could just imagine like running what are those things called, the cameras that you go on your helmet.
Oh, the GoPros.
Yeah, you can do like GoPros and stuff like that. I know that when you reached out to me, I told my wife, and she was like, well, we should probably see about doing that. And
yeah, you do right here in Anna, and you got a heck of a discount as long as you're my lawyer if I ever need it.
I'll come down there and I'll do what I can. I tell you what, that sounds like something we're definitely going to take you up on, because we gotta. I don't know. My wife's like, she has gotten that cabin fever from 2020 for sure.
Oh yeah. A lot of people working from home too that weren't before. And at first I didn't like it. Now I love it. It's just because I get more time, and I used to commute to Dallas, and it was like 90 minutes both ways, or each way. And so yeah, man. But listen, Anna, it's right there at Lakeview Lake. It's gorgeous. If you're a fisher, most of our kayaks are angler equipped. So they have anchors, place to hold your rods, all that good stuff. Nice. We have tandem kayaks if you got kids or even dogs, right? 2 of you plus a booster seat for a child.
I'd love to see my wife's Yorkie do that. That thing won't hold still for nothing.
I understand.
But that sounds like a plan, man. We definitely got to jump on that.
Yeah.
All right. So because we I think we both agree we run this thing like 30 minutes, and we're coming up on that mark. What's like some closing remarks? Like what do you want to tell the greater not only necessarily the greater community, just the world, about your experience as an entrepreneur and how it's going, and how they should reach for their own dreams and stuff?
Yeah. So there's a quote. I have it written somewhere because it's a long one, but basically, the less distinction that I make between who I am as a person, so like with my family, loved ones, among my community, and who I am in my work, right? The less distinction I make between my recreation and my vocation, the more complete of a person I am. And there are people today that are going to listen to this podcast. They understand what I'm talking about. That distinction that they have to make when they go into work. Now, I understand, we have to be professional, and that might be different from how we are at home, whatever. But I'm just talking about fundamentally that you need to change things about yourself, that you can't participate and be true to your experience in this life and join that corporation or join that group. And I would ask people to consider being in charge of their own experience, even if they have to suffer materialistic gain for a while, because it'll pay off when you can just be a person, when you can be Robb Farrell in any context and feel free and liberated to be yourself in any context. That's a different way of living. It just is. And I think getting out there and floating is a great time to start, considering that and being, reflective and introspective about things in your life. So, come float with us.
All right.
Shameless plug.
Well, to be honest with you, that was gonna be the next thing I was gonna tell you. Plug your info, let people know where they can locate you at, and how they get a hold of you.
Yeah, North Texas Kayak Experience.com. Don't Google it. You're gonna have to put it in the URL because I got the AdWords or whatever those things are called to figure out. Yeah. And Facebook, we have a pretty strong presence. I think we have about 500 followers so far. So excited about that. But contact me. My number's on there. I get it directly, and we'll figure it out. And even if you don't see something on the calendar, because we are building that slow, if you have a request at one of our experiences, a particular date, let me know. We likely will be able to work something out for you.
Okay, sounds like a plan, man. Well, Rob, I appreciate you joining me. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the record. And
Yes.
you have a good one, man. I'll to everyone that's watching, just to make sure, down below, it's either going to be YouTube or Facebook. You'll be able to see all the information that Rob just mentioned, how to get a hold of him, and you definitely should. I'm definitely going to.
Quincy, I'm sorry, but I think you need to plug that book too right now. The book that you referred to me, because that's a fantastic book, and it is, and I think it had some inspiration. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. You definitely need to read The Go Giver.
Yes.
The Go Giver is probably one of the best books I ever read. It doesn't basically the short and curly of it is, don't be a go-getter, be a go-giver, because the more that you give in participating with people around you, the more that you're going to get in return.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just about you, it's about everyone.
Right.
And obviously the book is way longer than that, but that's the point of it. And it's a really good read. I think I read it in like
easy read. Yep.
Yeah, it's like less than 3 hours. You can
Yep.
sit in it, less than 2 hours, maybe. I can't remember.
Absolutely.
But it's just one of those books. Once you start reading it, you don't want to stop.
Yeah, it's a great book.
And you got to read that book. It'll definitely. It's kind of up there with what's that other one? Who Moved My Cheese? Have you read that one?
Oh yeah, Who Moved My Cheese? Yeah.
Yeah, read it. Who Moved My Cheese is a good one, but The Go Giver is definitely, that's a book you need to read.
Yeah.
And I think I'll go ahead and put a link to Amazon or Barnes and Noble or somebody down below for that too. So because
we can start a website right now selling those books, and you just put a link online.
Yeah, it's an affiliate link now.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Rob.
Thank you, Quincy. Fantastic thing that you're doing. I appreciate you.
Oh yeah, no, it's good, and we look forward to going kayaking with you here soon. I gotta get with my wife, and we'll figure that out and get a hold of you guys.
Do it. We'll see you soon.
All right, man. You take it easy.
All right, buddy.